All right, guys, this is one of the most common and confusing problems beginners face with dropshipping, and it's something they don't anticipate because you go through the process of picking your products and you build your store and you start running ads, but then you make little or no sales. Like, then what do? Because you assume your products are winners, your store looks good, your ads are persuasive. Why is nobody buying? This is a difficult problem to give you an exact solution to in a short video because there are so many potential reasons why you're not converting, and every store will have different reasons why they're not making sales. So in this video, I'm going to cover the most common reasons that I see stores that aren't converting, and I see a lot of stores in this situation. And I'm also going to explain the types of changes you should make based on how unprofitable your store is. One thing I will say is don't jump to conclusions too early. If you're running ads and you've had under 200 people visit your store and you haven't made a sale yet, give it a bit more time because ad platforms, they will take some time initially to optimize and find the right customers who are more likely to buy. So you need to give their algorithm some time to find the right kind of traffic that's more likely to convert. But if you've had, say, 500 to 1,000 people to your store and you've had little or no sales, it might be time to look for potential reasons why you're not converting. Because if you've had this many people to your store without getting a single sale, then you're likely getting the fundamentals wrong. Because if you sell the right product to the right audience on a trustworthy website, you should make some sales even if you get other things wrong. So if you've had no sales, then it's likely either the products you're selling, you're using the wrong ad platform, or your ads just aren't optimized yet, or your store is untrustworthy. Okay, you need to focus on one of these fundamental pillars of your business first. But if the fundamentals are right and you're making some sales, then you can look at other factors which may be negatively impacting your conversion. So these can be things like, do you need more social proof? Okay, do you need a more compelling offer? And that doesn't mean just lowering the product cost. It means offering more perceived value. Changing the sales angle. This is a big one. That means marketing your product from a different angle so you're essentially solving a separate problem and targeting a different audience. Then you've got things like, using better images, better product descriptions, faster checkout options, utilizing scarcity and urgency, like the list goes on. But this is what I will say if you're confused as to exactly what kinds of changes you need to make. I'm going to try to simplify it as much as possible. The more unprofitable you are, the bigger the change you need to make. So basically, if you're making no sales, you need to take bigger risks to potentially turn your store profitable. So this includes the fundamental pillars of a store that I was just talking about, because these changes need to have potential to positively impact your store's conversions by a factor of at least 2 or more. But if you're making a few sales, but your ROAS is sort of consistently underperforming, you need to take a medium risk and make a medium change. So this can be things like, making significant store changes, creating new images and videos, a more compelling offer. Things like this, where the changes can impact your conversions but by less of a factor. Then if you've got a store that's around a break-even ROAS after your ad platform has a time to optimize, that's when you may want to split test smaller changes like product descriptions, easier checkout options, more payment options, because you don't want to take too big of a risk in this situation, or it could negatively impact your conversions. Now, I'll cover some common problems which I see with stores that aren't converting. And the number one problem I see is product selection. I would say over 50% of new stores I've seen that aren't converting have chosen the wrong products or the wrong niche to sell. Like, it doesn't matter if you have the most compelling and persuasive ad creatives, you're just not going to succeed with some products. I won't go into too much detail in this video, but I'll give you a couple of problems I often see. And this is more for a single product as opposed to a niche. I see a lot of stores that sell generic products that you can usually find at a local shopping center. Okay, they don't typically work with dropshipping stores. The product needs to be unique in some way. And the other one I often see is products that don't have a specific enough market. Like the best products are the ones that solve a problem and target a very specific and a very hungry group of people. Now, apart from the product itself, the next biggest issue I see is the store itself. Like sometimes I look at a store and within 5 seconds I can see exactly why they're not converting. It could be like a weird layout, or the sizing of the elements is wrong, or the hero image is blurry, or sometimes the branding just doesn't match the niche. And another thing I see is stores that look exactly like a dropshipping store. This is a big problem. Consumers getting better at identifying dropshipping stores. And if they even slightly detect that you're dropshipping, you're done. Like nobody will buy. And I always say this, but you want your store to look as un-dropship-like as possible. And it's very obvious to me because I see a lot of stores, but even if 10% of your customers can pick that you're dropshipping, it will impact your conversions and you're going to get bad reviews. I have a ton of examples of stores who've done it the right way on my website, which I'll link below. The next thing that will hurt your conversions is to make sure that your website has all the necessary pages: about page, contact page, shipping information, FAQs, refunds, everything. Don't hide anything, be as transparent as possible. And I also see a lot of stores that are just confusing, like some weird products with no clear explanation as to what it does, and they're trying to make it appear cool, like with abstract text that doesn't really mean anything. Don't do that, okay? Don't try to get all cute. You need to repeatedly remind your potential customer what your product is, what it does, and how it can benefit their life, okay? Make sure the most common questions about your product is answered throughout your content on the homepage and the product page. The worst possible result for you is someone comes to your website, they don't buy, but they buy the product from another website instead. Okay, don't give them any reason to do that. But also remember, when it comes to how your store looks, you don't have to get everything 100% right on your first store, okay? Don't spend too much time or stress about little things on your store, okay? You can fix up little things as you go. The main thing you need to focus on initially is your store trustworthy? Okay, if someone wants to buy your product, will they trust you? The best thing to do is just ask a variety of family and friends what they think. Get other people's honest feedback, and don't be too stubborn to make changes. You can afford to get parts of your store wrong and still make some sales. But if you're confident that your product isn't a problem, the quality of your traffic isn't a problem, and your store is trustworthy, there are some tools that you can use to help you sort of identify the exact problem. So you've got paid platforms, you've got Lucky Orange or Hotjar, or a free option is Microsoft Clarity, and they can provide heat maps for how your customers are navigating your site and help you identify where the buying process is breaking down. For example, if your customers are going to your product page but not adding to cart, you know it's likely a product page issue. If they're not making it to your call to action buttons, you might need to move them higher on the page. If they're clicking off your website immediately after seeing your homepage, your site might just be ugly and untrustworthy. Okay, so these tools may be worth it if you need help identifying the exact problem instead of trying to change random things without any idea of what the problem is. But just remember, don't panic if you're driving traffic to your store but not converting as you thought you would, okay? Because that's when you're going to make bad decisions. Because you also need to remember that your conversion rate will typically increase over time naturally, because your ad platform will get better at identifying your ideal customer. You're going to get more social proof. You're going to have returning customers. You'll have optimized your site better for testing. So don't assume that because your store is not converting as you like it to, that it's going to stay that way for good. I hope this has given you some ideas of the kinds of changes you could consider making. Okay, but just remember, make sure you're getting the fundamentals right first, then start testing things that will have less of an impact later on. Okay? I hope all this helps, guys. Good luck and thanks for watching.